Let's dance! Let's dance!
Too many people come to realize way too late that they've just been playing too fair. You have been playing by the book this whole time, when really you could be so clear, you could be so far ahead right now, if only you could just identify where exactly your unfair advantage lies and how you can abuse this, and I mean abuse this, to get ahead. If you've ever played Mortal Kombat or Injustice, you know, the fighter games, I might get crazy hate for this, but when I used to play Injustice, I was always on the cheesy characters. I played the characters with ranged abilities, with guns and projectiles and whatnot. And so on Mortal Kombat I played Erron Black, and on Injustice I played Ares, and Ares was my goats. I think he had like 3 axes or similar throwing weapons, and I used to just slowly back up and just chip away at my opponent. And so if they try and block, you throw the axe that will hit their midsection. If they roll, you throw a dagger and headshot them when they come back up. And if they jump, you throw another axe or some other weapon that hits their legs when they land back down. Bro, there was no escaping whatsoever. It was so unfair, but for me it was so fun. It makes me smile just thinking about it. And you could have also used Green Arrow, but I'm pretty sure that his projectile only hit the midsection, so you could always jump over it or roll under. Again, I might be wrong here, but I just went with Ares as that's who I had the most fun with. And the same with Erron Black. I would just stay at range and fire off shots with the revolver, and then when they get close, just boom, uppercut them with a rifle. If you know, you know. And the thing is, when my brother or cousins or whoever I was playing on the game, when they would get fed up with me, they would try my strategy. They would switch to Ares or Green Arrow and try to beat me at my own game. But at this point, I was too far gone. I was too far ahead. I was the one who found my unfair advantage, and I had actually lent into it. And so when my opponent would try to play my game, I would still end up winning, as I was the one with experience. I had got the timing down, and I knew when to use each attack, when to fake, and how to overall control the game. And that was because I found my unfair advantage. I found what worked for me and I lent into it. I wasn't trying to pick an honorable character or whatsoever. And so do you think that Jon Jones stops stomping people's knees out or poking eyes purely for the sake of honor or respect? Do you think that Mr. Beast stops pumping out increasingly expensive and high production content purely because people are telling him that he is killing the YouTube spirit or raising the standards too high or whatever? And I'm not saying that you need to be ruthlessly callous and trample all of the competition in front of you. It's actually far from it. It's more that you need to find a unique angle. You need to find your advantage. Find a genuine individual selling point that allows you to actually stand out in today's age, that allows you to bypass the competition entirely and to achieve your goals. And so why stand and bang on Solomon Grundy when you can just snipe your opponent at range with Ares? Bypass the trenches, bypass the struggle by finding that unfair advantage, because this is the life that we're living. You know, this game, it isn't fair and it's not ideal. I'm not saying that it's right, I'm not trying to justify it, but you just need to find your hidden advantage. You need to find where this lies and lean into it, because that's how you can actually stand out. That's how you actually break through. So with Injustice, you know, the video game that I was talking about, I found out what I was good at. I was pretty good with time and ranged attacks, and I learned into it, and within my familial circle I became unstoppable. And this is just one example, but the rule applies to all other walks of life, not just video games. If you have an unfair advantage, if you have a trait, skill, ability, circumstance or head start, then you need to be using it. And again, I'm not a cheater, I'm no scoundrel or whatever, but there is no honor in doing things the right way and doing things by the book just because other people make you feel that it's the right thing to do. Do not let people who don't have what you have pressure you into doing things their way. You know, wealthy kids, rich kids will always get hate from poorer kids, but if those same poorer kids had the opportunities of the rich kids, then they would take them in a heartbeat. And on the other hand, if you were to get offered a scholarship or bursary, then you're gonna take it. If you can get a slight one up and get some work experience or an internship through a family member, then you'll take that as well, no? And so take this idea of seizing any and all opportunities available to you and apply it to your own traits, abilities and circumstances. Find what you are actually good at. Find this unfair advantage and lean into it. Do not let it just sit up on a high shelf off and slowly expire. Start using it today. Use it while you still can. If you have great analytical ability, if you are good with numbers, if you're good at maths, then leverage that. Go into banking, finance, aim for that quant role or become an engineer. And on the contrary, if you find your advantage is speaking, if you are a natural orator, if you have charm and personality, then lean into that. Don't just aim for, say, the quant role just because it's hyped, prestigious and glazed. Because if you play by the book, if you play this game of life, pursuing only what your parents want from you, for example, only pursuing the path that your school has drilled into you, without actually accounting for what you are innately good at, then it's just going to be long for you. You do not want to be the guy who thinks he wants to go into banking, but really has never been good with numbers. Because in reality, this person's true strength lies elsewhere, and that is okay. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. And I'm not saying that the fish can't learn to climb a tree. I'm not saying that a lion can't eat leaves. I'm not saying that you can't learn to be good with numbers or you can't learn to be good at whatever you want to be good at, because I will always stand by it and believe that if you really, really want something, if you can truly believe, if you have that burning desire for something, then you can achieve it. But the distinction here is that ideally you should be getting started. You should identify where your unfair advantages lie. Identify what you are innately good at and lean into that. Lean into your circumstances. Accept who you are, accept the cards that you've been dealt, because that will be the ideal starting point. And usually people's goals, dreams and wishes are probably going to link to what they love and are good at anyway, because more often than not, you are going to actually enjoy doing what you have this advantage in. And furthermore, if something is natural to you, if something is fun and like play to you, then this is yet another multiplier on your potential. This is another way where you can leverage an unfair advantage. And so for extra credit, if you can find a way to be effortlessly relentless, I say relentless but in an effortless way, if you can find this unfair advantage that you're better than everyone else at, if you can identify this and can also find genuine ease and enjoyment in what you're pursuing, if you can find joy in the everyday work, then you can take this concept to a whole nother level, because your unfair advantage could also be that you find joy in your work. Do not let the facade of rules placed upon you by society, school or your peers limit what you believe is possible, because it is possible to love your work. Believe me, if you love your work, then that's just another unfair advantage that you can use to scale. Again, just think back to what I said about the poor kids, how they will always try and put down the rich kids, but if those poor kids had the facilities, if they had the opportunities of the rich kids, then they would take them in an instant. And in the same way, those who don't enjoy their job as much might show a bit of disdain towards the idea of you finding joy in your work. But if they could do a job, if they could live a lifestyle that allows them to have fun with their work, then they would also take it without hesitation. You know, when you can put in a long shift for the day, yeah, it doesn't actually register as work, it feels more like play. And so if you are actually good at what you enjoy, if you can find a way to monetize or make a career out of what you enjoy, what you have this advantage in, then you're going to be laughing. You will be so clear, so clear. So aim to find that unfair advantage that you possess, because everybody, every single person on this planet has an advantage, whether they realize it or not. You know, are you funny or charismatic? Are you good with numbers, creative, good with your hands? Are you athletic, tall? Are you good at writing? Are you good at swimming? Are you good at designing? Your advantage could be that you live in the countryside, or on the other hand, your advantage could also be that you live in one of the biggest cities on the planet. Either extreme can be an asset depending on how you look at the cards that are laid in front of you. You know, maybe you come from decent wealth. Do you have family, or do you have people who can give you a one up? Do you know people who can bring you closer to basically give you a handout? So this is what I'm saying, just forget the rules, forget any limitations that you erroneously believe are upon you. Find your unfair advantage and don't let anybody make you feel lazy, out of touch or dishonorable for finding and harnessing the one way in which you can actually work smart. Forget what your parents are telling you, put your state programming to the side for a second and just ask yourself, what do I actually have an advantage in? What vision do I see for myself? And if you can genuinely see a path, if you see a vision for what you can achieve for yourself, then trust your instincts, because this is more than a great starting point. Use and abuse your unfair advantage today. That was silly. Use and abuse your unfair advantage. Yeah, that's better.